People told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals.
Nothing matters but winning.
You're going to the NBA Finals for the first time in your career.
That's not bad.
Canada, the NBA title is yours. The Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions.
All right, we're here for episode 8 of Rapzville Weekly. I'm Gabriel Chelio, along with my co-host,
Adam Casucci.
and today we're ranking our top 5 players per position in the NBA, current NBA. So start off with current NBA, point guard. My top 5 in order from 1 to 5. I got Steph Curry, number 1. Kyrie Irving, number 2. Damian Lillard, number 3. Chris Paul, number 4. Russell Westbrook, number 5. So hear me out on this one. Sorry, this is Rapzville Weekly, and Lowry is in my special acknowledgements. But I'm going Steph Curry, number 1, for obvious reasons. This guy is one of the greatest shooters of all time. Definitely someone that's absolutely graced this game. Or a 3-time champion. He's just an unreal player, and his shooting is off the marks. His playmaking is phenomenal. His vision, everything about him. His defense is not the best, but everything else is pretty much fantastic with this guy. Even his finishing, he's such a fast player, quick pace mentality. His team has performed phenomenally. He's clearly just one of the best in the game. His shooting is just unmatched. In my opinion, I think he's just the best point guard that we have in the league today. Second, I put Kyrie Irving. This guy is another animal, absolutely, like Curry, absolutely clutch player. Very phenomenal finisher, crafty, great handles, can work his way to the rim phenomenally. He's a great shooter as well. He's performed big in the playoffs many times. I think he is skill-wise second best player for a point guard in the league. Damian Lillard, I put number 3. Clearly just for the fact that his shooting has been phenomenal. The past couple of years, we've seen him get better and better. He hits the deepest shots I've ever seen, 30, 40 feet out. His playmaking skills are great. He's clutch. He's efficient. He's hardworking. He likes to win. He's just had a great season. The wave bye-bye to Westbrook and the OKC Thunder, that was an unreal moment. And I saw Bronny the other day just called Lillard the best point guard in the league, in his opinion. And that's interesting because Curry and Bron are pretty good friends. So, but I think Lillard is, skill-wise, I think he's one of the top players in the league. And I put him at number 3 just off personal preference. I like the way he plays. I like him a lot. But for number 4, I had to give it to Chris Paul, a veteran, of course, in the league. Phenomenal passer, great defensive player. Many hardworking years in the league. He's had great years with the LA Clippers. And now he's playing good with the Oklahoma City Thunder on this season that people thought they would do horrible in. He's proved to do quite tremendously with his young core. He's got pretty much everything you need. He can shoot the ball, he can hit the mid-range, he can drive, he can play make, he can defend. He's an all-around just fantastic point guard. And just off of I like the way Lillard plays. I think he's a nice young player who's going to turn out to be great. Or else Chris Paul is right there for me. And then at number 5, I put Russell Westbrook. I've always been a Westbrook fan. I like the way he plays. I love how athletic and explosive he is. It's truly phenomenal. Probably the most explosive player in the league. Fantastic finisher. He's a great playmaker as well and good defensive player. Great with rebounds. I know there's going to be arguments of stat padding and stuff, but I think he just plays his role. He does his part, especially for his OKC days. He was just a phenomenal player and put together some fantastic seasons, triple-double stats, MVP caliber play. I think he's just a great player. And Lowry, for me, just misses out on that cut. I just think Westbrook has the more dominant skill set. Lowry, in my opinion, is the more hardworking player, the well-rounded coach's dream player. He's definitely a bulldog in the league and a smart defensive player, definitely a winner. But I'm giving it to Russell Westbrook just off of skill-wise. I feel like he's the more explosive, stronger finisher, and I think he's just a more dominant player in general. So, Adam, you could do your 5 now.
Okay, so for my point guard position, I have Curry at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is because of his winning mentality. The championships he's won. I know people will say he was on a superstar team and all the players around him helped him, but I think he sets the tone for Golden State. And when he's playing his best basketball, Golden State plays their best basketball. And his vision is incredible. His shooting, being able to shoot from range, is very important in today's NBA.
Yeah.
And and he makes players better around him. When he has the ball, everyone's looking to cut and have a great off-ball movements because they know Curry can find him. And I think Curry does deserve that number one spot. In my second place, I put Kyle Lowry. Not being biased at all, I think he is a tough-nosed player. I think he is one of the hardest working players in the NBA. His stats might not show it, but I think he does the things that don't show up on the stat sheet: charges, deflection, steals, his work ethic on the floor, defensive rotations. He does everything, and he is the head of the snake for the Raptors. And I feel like when he's playing good, the Raptors are unstoppable and cannot be beat.
I agree with you.
Going into third, I'm going with Chris Paul. Very high IQ guy, probably one of the most high IQ point guards in the game right now. He's won everywhere he's went. New Orleans kind of had a tough time, but he didn't have too much around him. At LA, playing with Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, all those guys, he played well there. Moving on to Houston, when he went to Houston, I think that playing with Harden is so tough, and I feel like it's really hard to be that second superstar, just kind of like Russell Westbrook when playing behind a guy like that, just holding the ball for so long, trying to isolate, get his stat pad. I don't know. I didn't feel it's a good environment for him to be under a guy like that. In fourth, I would have Lillard. Lillard, he's a great player. Listen, he's a great player. He does his job for his team, scores a bunch of points, plays well with CJ McCollum, and that guard duo is great. I just feel like every postseason it's becoming a trend that he gets eliminated in the first or second round, and I feel like that's what's kind of pushing him back into number 4, in my opinion. I feel like if he can put together some good playoff performances, and not just for one round, and kind of make it into the finals, or even the Western Conference Finals, would kind of advance his name, and he would prove to be a much better player. In fifth, I have Kyrie Irving. He did win a championship with LeBron, and he is not playing right now because of injury and stuff. But I feel like he will have a good season with KD coming back with the Brooklyn Nets. He does have the tight handles everyone knows him for. But I think that Irving will have a good season with Brooklyn coming up. Gabe, onto your shooting guards.
Yeah, before we get into that, do we have anything to say about this? I'm going to say Lowry, I love him. I think he's a great player, and your points are definitely valid. For me, he's not up there as high as he's in yours. Also, I was just going to go check right now. Portland did make the Western Conference Finals last year, but they got swept by Golden State, which obviously is disappointing for for Lillard's hard work. Do you have any comments about my top 5 before we move on?
Westbrook should not be there. I feel that he, once again, he cannot shoot a basketball, and he has a tough time playing with other superstars. I feel like he's better alone. He's better because he can touch the ball more. His stats are more juiced up when alone. And I feel like that's why the Houston Rockets aren't where they want to be. They're still playing well, but they aren't where they want to be because of him and Harden and their styles of play together. Paul, I agree with being on the list. Lillard, for me, not so high up, because even getting swept, you can make it there, but if you don't do anything, they didn't even win a game. So to me, in my mind, it doesn't even matter. You couldn't even win a game in the conference finals, so that's kind of says it for itself. Irving is really high up. He did win a championship, so I can give him that. He does. He has that under his resume. But recently with the Boston Celtics, his stint was not good, and he was a piece that not a lot of players liked. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, they didn't like him, and it kind of hurt their development as well as Jason Tatum. And Curry, obviously, I have him as number one as well. I can't disagree.
Okay. I think the Irving one, I see where you're coming from, but I feel like if you're talking about best players in the league, top point guards in the league, I feel like that player relationship is like not a big of a factor to me. I'm thinking I'm looking at all just skill set here, and I think Irving is just dominant of a player as he is. Should be given the spot that high. Okay, let's move on to shooting guard because we are burning time right now. Number one, I have James Harden. I know you're gonna have something to say about this, but how could you not? This guy puts up unreal stats. Probably one of the more dominant scorers we have in the game today. Definitely an ISO player, but a good ISO player. Puts up good numbers, helps his team win games. Just his single-handed performances are somewhat spectacular, and those multiple nights where he scored those big bucket points, you think back of players like Kobe Bryant, and like those are numbers that he put up back-to-back nights, big numbers, but also that comes with taking a lot of shots, and I can see where you're going to have something to say about it, but I feel like with the numbers that he puts up and the MVP style of play he has, I think it'd only be fair to put him at number one, but for me, a close second would be Klay Thompson. I know Klay Thompson, I think he's a more well-rounded player. He's a phenomenal defensive player, great shooter, more of an IQ player in my eyes, but I feel like he's just not as the all-star starting caliber of James Harden, but Thompson for me is another huge, huge player, close second. And then for number three, I put Bradley Beal. I feel Beal puts up some tremendous numbers as well. His Washington Wizards haven't been having the best seasons as of late, but individually, just like James Harden, he puts up tremendous numbers and is a huge scorer, and he's trying to do the best he can with his franchise. I feel like he'd excel maybe on a different team with more playoff contending hopes, but I think overall he's a very skilled player, and he deserves to be in that top five just off skill alone. That brings me to number four. I have Luka Doncic. He's in the lower end for me just because he's still young in the league, but I think skill-wise he is soon going to take flight and boom up that list because he is phenomenal for his age. He's putting up great numbers. His style of play and his play in general has just been great. His three-ball shooting, step-back jumpers, his drive, his craftiness. I don't know if this stems from years in the EuroLeague and having that experience since he was young, but he came in with an NBA-ready mentality, and he's had great rookie season and great young seasons in his career, and the sky's the limit for this kid. Definitely an all-star. I think MVP on the way. He definitely can get there someday, and right now he's on the lower end of my list just because he's not fully proven himself yet, but he's phenomenal skill-wise, and one day he's going to be up there. I know it. That brings me to number five. This was a toss-up for me between Butler and DeRozan, but I gave it to DeRozan off of that franchise love. I got to show some respect now. I tossed Lowry in the last one. I'll give it to DeRozan this time. I think DeRozan's a great player, hard worker, definitely wants to be a winner. He did, and as a leader, he did a great job for our franchise, taking the reins from Chris Bosh in these hopeless years where he sent out that tweet that "Don't worry, I got us." And he's, grown tremendously. He's a great mid-range shooter. He's learned to take more and more bigger shots in his career and be more aggressive on his attacks. Some of those huge poster dunks that we've seen throughout the years. He just fell short to LeBron year after year, though, when he was with us, and that's why we had to get rid of him. But I think skill-wise, you got to be quite skilled to really keep up with those mid-ranges, those back-down fadeaways, up and unders, getting defenders to jump. Like, that comes with a lot of skill, and it's not easy that every player can do. I think it comes with him being more matured in the league, and through this experience he's gained, he's got that skill to be a top five player. So I gave it to him this time, but Butler for me is also up there based off of defense and offense combined.
Okay, so now on to my top five shooting guards. At first, I have Klay Thompson. Obviously a tremendous three-point shooter. Can really do anything. He can defend positions 1 to 3, point guard, shooting guard, small forward. He usually defends their best guard, with Curry being on like the weaker guard for Golden State. He's won. He's done everything in the playoffs. He's won. He's played big in huge games. A very good game 6 and 7 performer, which is very important in my opinion. And yeah, he's been through it all and he's succeeded. On to number 2, I have Luka Doncic. Because of, like Gabe said, the EuroLeague experience and doing what he he has done at such a young age, and really orchestrating the Mavericks and just teaming up with Porzingis, playing well there. I mean, people wouldn't have thought that they would be a playoff team, and he's just making it happen. I mean, he's a high IQ guy. You can literally give him the ball, and he will, unlike Harden, he can just make stuff happen. I mean, you can give him the ball, and he will get everyone involved and create plays. I mean, Doncic is, for me, age is just a number. I feel like his skill set and he will win multiple MVPs, in my opinion, in the future. Yeah, and I feel like he's already doing what he has done at such a young age, and it's incredible. Moving on to 3, I have James Harden. You know what? Whatever. He is a great offensive player. I mean, but in my eyes, there's 2 ends of the floor. You got to be a good two-way player to be great at this game of basketball. And in my opinion, Harden takes breaks on defense, does not work as hard. He's played games where he's played well, like individual games where he's played well on the defensive end, but he does not have a high defensive skill set whatsoever. And you can see it when they play, the Houston Rockets play such a high tempo on offense, and on defense they struggle. And I feel like they can't contain the guards because of I don't know. He's always a part of it. He's always on the floor, and he's doing so much on the offensive end. But I feel like if you have to do the same on the defensive end to be considered at least in the top 3.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's my opinion on him, and I feel like the isolation basketball is never going to work, and it's proven not to work. So 4th is Bradley Beal. A great season individually for him. He's doing all he can while John Wall was injured. The Wizards obviously were struggling. Yeah, Beal has made an improvement and in his career and is steadily progressing forward. Yeah, and Beal has had a great season this season, averaging almost 30 points, and I hope he does well, because I feel like he's a loyal guy, sticking to Washington and not trying to team up with the Nets. I heard some rumors there. But that's good that he stays loyal there and wants to win something there. At 5, I do have Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
Butler, I mean, he's a great two-way player. I mean, I'll give it to him. He's a great two-way player. Yeah. Likes to talk, but he has a lot of great defensive skills. He can shoot the ball. He can drive. He can play make. He's a very good all-around player. I don't like the team switching, which I put Beal over him, because I think loyalty is a big factor in this. And yeah, so that's why I have Butler at 5. Gabe, opinions on my top 5?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't have any too much problems with it. I think, in my opinion, Harden's up there just off skill set, but I think for the most part, I'll give you the Doncic move. For my opinion, I think that it'll come with a little more age. Maybe next few years, he'll be right up there for me, maybe 2. But I think I'm good with everything for the most part. I was going to say that Thompson, that game, those late games, 5, 6, 7, he's almost at the death of the Raptors. He tried getting that comeback going. Yeah. He hits big shots. I'll give you that. And what are your thoughts on Bradley Beal? Do you think there was ever a chance of him coming to the Raps? Like, should we make a move on that?
I do feel with Terrence Davis emerging and Norman Powell playing at the level they are, and obviously having Lowry and Van Vliet, I feel like there's no need for an extra guard and to take on that extra salary. Mm-hmm. But if the players didn't, if Terrence Davis didn't perform as well, and Norman Powell wasn't having such a good season, then maybe. But right now, I think the Raptors are good with their guard situation.
Okay, let's go to number 3. Okay, so I'm going to make this one quick. I think it'll be quick for both of us here. I'm going LeBron number 1, yep. KD 2, Kawhi 3, Paul George 4, and Jason Tatum 5. I know we both have similar top 5s. LeBron, obviously, he's the king. He's a phenomenal player all around. He can do everything. He's a leader. He's a floor general. He can drive. He can shoot. He can play make. He can defend. He can do it all. He's just the most dominant player in the league. KD number 2 for me. The reason he's above Kawhi's obviously got great defense. I put him number 3. Great defense, great offense, clutch player. Did phenomenal for us in the playoffs. I'm giving KD number 2. I think he's just the better shooter. like one-on-one matchup, I think he's a more deadly threat. I think he hits even bigger shots, and he's more unguardable than Leonard is. I know it's a tough matchup between those two, but I think most people kind of have that similar LeBron, Durant, Leonard. Number 4, Paul George. I think he's just a great player all around, defense and offense, great shooter, great defensive player. He's had a lot of ups and downs in his career, but I think he's done good to fight through it and put up good numbers year after year. And then number 5, Jason Tatum, a young emerging star who's explosive, can shoot well, lead a young core of the Boston Celtics, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Okay, so moving on to my small forwards. LeBron, number 1, obviously, in my opinion, the best well-rounded overall player ever. He's done everything. He's won rings, finals appearances 9 times. It's incredible. Kawhi Leonard at number 2. I had him over Durant because I feel like he's a better two-way player. Like Gabe said, one-on-one, I kind of disagree with that. I feel like in a 5v5 environment, Leonard is better than Kevin Durant. That's what I feel about him. And I have Kevin Durant at 3. I mean, he can really shoot over anyone. He can do whatever he wants on the offensive floor at any time. Yeah. He's proved it on the biggest stage. But I don't know. I don't like his approach with the switching teams. I feel like it's just like now it's too much. I mean, why did he have to go to Golden State? I don't know. I still disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I agree. Yeah. Paul George at number 4. Great overall player. Once again, good two-way guy. Hasn't done it on the biggest stage yet. He has proved he can be alone with the Pacers, playing well without any other really big superstars, big names. But I think he will do well with the Clippers and with Kawhi, obviously. Great two-way wings. Tatum at number 5. Great upcoming talent. I feel like his game kind of represents Kobe in a nutshell. He kind of uses the same moves and stuff.
Yeah.
Tatum will be good. He did play well against LeBron in that series with the Celtics. And I think he will be a good playoff player, I feel. Jason Tatum.
Yeah, no discrepancies here. I think we can move straight on to power forward. So number 1, I got Giannis, clearly probably one of the most dominant players in the league. Also, phenomenal MVP numbers. He could win another MVP this season. Great defensive player. He's won Defensive Player of the Year, I believe. He's just all around phenomenal. His shooting is a little still in the works, but he's proved to be a threat pretty much from anywhere. His body size, the way he's like just built, is just unreal, and he basically can do whatever he wants, just bully players on the floor. And like that comes with hard work too. He used to be really skinny, and he just got really jacked with muscle. So I think he's just clearly off his dominance alone. I think he's number 1. I don't think he's getting touched there. I think Davis number 2 is close, but he's not up there just yet. I think Davis, another player, great skill set. Also body size is huge, very long. He can catch lobs. He can shoot. He can drive. Great center. Those two are like in a separate category, in my opinion. Power forward. They're just up there, and then everyone else is just trailing. So number 3, I was debating between Draymond Green and Siakam, but I'm going to give it to Pascal just off of Raptors love. And I think he's proved to be a great player. He's improved year after year, the most improved in player. And, he was even a case for most improved player this year, even though I don't think he'll win it. But I think he's still put up a good case for it. He's, proved to be a really good scorer. He's got a spin move that was fatal in one of his first breakout years. He's getting his shot is getting a little bit better. His defense is good, and he's a very hard worker. That's what we pride him on. And I think he's passing. Yeah. He played really good in the playoffs and even in the finals. He made that final floater over Draymond Green. I think he did a really good job attacking Draymond Green, taking him to the basket. So I think just off of that, and I think he's a better shooter than Draymond Green. I think that takes him over the edge. So that brings me to number 4, Draymond Green. Self-explanatory. He's right up there. A very hard worker, a winner. Does a lot for his team. Very vocal, and I'm not really a fan of that vocalness. I prefer like a silent killer like Kawhi, but Draymond Green, still a great player, hard worker. That brings me to number 5. This one's a toss-up. We'll talk about the acknowledgments later, but I gave it to Blake Griffin off of his veteran experience and the good years he's had with the league. He's had phenomenal years of being a high flyer, attacking the rim, being like a big star player for his franchise, and even his work with the Pistons. I thought he had good seasons. And there's definitely a bunch of young stars that are rising in the come up, but I gave it to him right now for his veteran experience. But, sooner or later when he gets a little too old, I think one of those young guys are going to replace the spot in my top 5.
Okay. Moving on to my power forwards. Giannis, undoubtedly number 1. He's playing well with the Bucks. I mean, having NBA MVP caliber seasons. Nothing I can say about that. Works both ends of the floor. In conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. As well as my second pick, Anthony Davis, same thing. Works both ends of the floor. In conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Is kind of that brick in the Los Angeles Lakers paint. And kind of stands tall there and kind of protects the paint for them. Moving on to 3 in Pascal Siakam. Like Gabe said, I feel that his shooting and his offensive talent, his raw talent offensively puts him over the edge on Draymond Green. And he still is great defensively. I mean, Siakam could guard literally any position in the NBA, like 1 to 5. He can guard. And might have a little trouble at the 5 because of strength
Quickness
and maybe size. But the rest, I think he could guard. 4, Draymond Green, very vocal for real, Gabe. I think that's a big part. Every team needs a leader like that. He does little things on the floor, and he has a motor on him, and which is very just like Siakam, which is very impressive. I mean, he never really gets tired, and he's always looking to make a winning play, whatever it takes. Even if it's a dirty play to change momentum of the game or whatever it is, he'll look to do that to make his team have a chance to win. At number 5, a lot of people might not know him, but I have Sabonis, Domantas Sabonis. His father was a legend. I feel like he has a great IQ for a big man. I watched a couple of games of the Pacers, and I felt like that he played well. He's a double-double guy, and I think soon to be a triple-double guy, kind of like Jokic in a way. And I feel like he's extending his range from 3, and he's kind of working on that, the 3 ball. And I feel like he's going to be an upcoming talent in the NBA next season or this season.
Yep. So now for center, number 1, I have Joel Embiid. I think he's just a very dominant player. He's a bit of a hothead and obviously talks a little too much. That's why he got put in his place in the playoffs last year. But I think he's a good player. He can shoot the ball. He can drive. He's explosive. He's long. Good defensive player. And I think that just off of his dominance alone, I think he's my number 1. But a close second for me is Nikola Jokic, just off of his IQ, his passing ability. I think that's done wonders for him. And his size has helped him really be a big man in the league. But now, obviously, he's skinnied up a little bit, so we got to see what happens there. But I think that he's got a good skill set, and for me, he's a close second. For number 3, I gave it to Karl-Anthony Towns. He's young. He can do a lot. He can shoot. He can drive. He can rebound, obviously, well. I don't think he's gotten where he wants to be successfully in terms of like playoffs and, his team's performance. But I think that he's done his fair share of showing off his skill set and being a good player individually. Now it's just a matter of the team basketball and getting some recognition based off of accolades, I'd say. That brings me to number 4. I gave it to Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond, obviously, great defensive player, great rebounder. He's had some good seasons with the Pistons. Now, not too sure what's happening with the Cavs. The same type of thing. Good player, good skill set, but hasn't gotten where he wants to be with his team success. And number 5, I put Rudy Gobert. Obviously, multiple defensive player of the year. He's phenomenal, blocking, rebounding, being a paint beast, and on the offensive end, he does his part as well. And his team has found a little more success with young Donovan Mitchell. But I think that those top 5, I think, are my solid top 5. So I'll let Adam take it away from here.
Okay, so my top 5 centers. Instead of Embiid, I have Jokic at number 1. I feel like his consistency throughout the years has been incredible. His high IQ. He's the type of guy you could just give him the ball at the top of the key or in the post, and he could create a play himself. Just give it to him, and All the other players have to do is just make off-ball movements, and he'll find you and make a play out of it. Or he could even score the ball himself. He's very good. Has a good post-up skill set, and even shooting the ball as well. Second, I do have Joel Embiid. I did put him second. I feel like he's a very dominant player. When it comes to the offensive end, I feel he still does lack defensively. When he is turned on defensively, he is good. But I mean, I don't know. He's not consistent on that end, and he lacks stamina, I feel like, and he takes a lot of breaks on the defensive end. So that's why I have him second. But third, I have Drummond. I mean, he's a great double-double guy, even 2020 guy. He can really dominate the glass, and yeah, he's a very big presence in the paint. And teams, he contests a lot of shots, and teams notice him and kind of avoid the paint when he's in there because of his big presence. Fourth, I have Towns, Karl Anthony Towns. Great offensive skill set. He can shoot the ball, can score on the inside. Defensively, there's been a bit of question marks, but I feel he's doing his job on the defensive end. I mean, he doesn't have too much help in Minnesota, but he is doing his part and hasn't really had success. And fifth, I would actually have Bam Adebayo. I mean, I feel like this guy's really gonna blossom in the next couple of years. I feel like this guy is a top center in the league. He works hard every game. He has a high motor. His work ethic is really good. High IQ. Playing under Eric Spoelstra, I'm sure he will run some plays for him. And yeah, and I mean, he's had a great season this year, and for sure, for me, he's the most improved player. Special acknowledgements, Gabe.
All right, so my special acknowledgements, I have Kyle Lowry. Obviously, I talked about a little bit. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player, and I think he's just up there for me, but just fell short. I also said Ben Simmons just because he's a good young player in the league, and he's shown a lot of potential with what he can do. If he can get that shot going, I think he can be up there. Trae Young as well, an all-star this year. He's played good basketball, and he's got great potential also. And Kemba Walker, another solid player, Boston Celtics. He's done a great job with his team, and he's had a long season of being a quality, talented player, so he's very skilled as well. Jimmy Butler, I already talked about. Devin Booker, he's pure potential, young, and he's been a great scorer for the Suns. If he can get on a good team or even grow his team a little bit more, I think he can be up there as a top player in the league. Chris Middleton, also a great two-way player for the Bucks. They've done a lot. They've won a lot of games. They've played great basketball. Sabonis, Adebayo, you said both of them. I think they're both great young players that could eventually work their way up in the league. And obviously Vucevic, they're all skilled players and good big men. And I think that they're close in special acknowledgement for sure, in my opinion.
Okay, now moving on to my special acknowledgements. I have Devin Booker. Great shooter, great player for the Suns. I mean, a lot of potential coming in for him. And I want to see his pick and roll game with DeAndre Ayton come to life sooner or later. Zach LaVine, I have him. Great showing this season, a lot of points, carrying really that Bulls team. And I think he's improved as a player, as a shooter. And he's done a great job. Westbrook, I already spoke about. Jrue Holiday, very underrated guy. I feel like he's a very good isolation player, but he works throughout the team. I feel he's a great guard to have. Very solid defender. DeMar DeRozan, former Raptor, I had to put him in. Love his offensive game. The three ball taints it a bit, and the defensive game I'm not a big fan of, but DeMar is a great player, and I feel like he had to be mentioned. Kemba, lack of playoff experience and success. Has played with Charlotte almost his whole career. Now with the Boston Celtics, he will have a chance. I feel that's why he's there. Trae Young, an exceptional season for the youngster, averaging almost 30 points. Crazy. Playing well with John Collins there. And Chris Middleton, like Abe said, great two-way player. A lack of wins in the playoffs, but during regular season, he's been playing amazing. Blake Griffin, a veteran in the game, not as athletic as he was before, but still a great player, great veteran to have. Still will put up his fair share during the game, and and he could shoot the ball now and create a little bit. So that's great for him and the Pistons. Clint Capella, my last person I put in. I feel like he's a great rim runner, and Houston shouldn't have traded him away. But yeah, that's who I have.
Okay. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for coming to this episode. We are going to be ranking our top 3 Raptors per position sometime soon, possibly the next episode. So hope you enjoyed this one. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everyone stay safe during the virus. Thank you to all the frontline workers for doing your part. And that's us signing out.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.